Today, we're jumping into a really important topic: why the education system so often struggles to support autistic students. And, what can actually be done about it? Because the gap between what's promised and what's really happening, well, it is so much wider than you think.
Okay, just look at this number for a second. 35,000. In just one school year, that's how many families had to go to battle with their own school districts just to get the special education rights their kids are legally supposed to have. And you got to remember, every single one of those numbers, that's a family going through a stressful, painful fight for a basic rate.
So, that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. How can a system that was designed to help end up feeling like a giant obstacle course for tens of thousands of people? Let's unpack exactly why this is happening.
To really get what's going on, we have to start with the fundamental clash between what the law says and what's actually happening in schools every day.
On paper, the promise seems crystal clear. It's called the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. It's a federal law, and it guarantees every eligible kid a free, appropriate public education. And that word right there, appropriate, it is absolutely everything. But here's where it all starts to fall apart. What's supposed to be a right to an appropriate education quickly turns into this frustrating bureaucratic maze. The focus shifts from what a child actually needs to, well, just ticking boxes and making sure the paperwork is filed. It leaves families feeling completely lost. And this quote just nails the emotional reality of it. I mean, think about IEP meetings, the Individualized Education Program meetings. They're supposed to be these collaborative, hopeful conversations about a child's future. But for way too many parents, they feel like a legal battle. It feels like you're in a courtroom, not a classroom.
Okay, so why? Why does this breakdown keep happening? Let's dig into the specific reasons this system is falling so short for so many.
It really boils down to a few big things that are all connected. Schools often just don't have the money or the properly trained staff to really support autistic students. So what happens? Instead of getting the right support in a regular classroom, kids often get defaulted into more restrictive settings, like what are called emotional or behavioral disorder classrooms. And the impact of that decision? It's absolutely devastating. We're talking about real cases of students who go into one of these programs in 3rd grade doing fine academically, and by the time they hit 8th grade, they are still functioning at a 3rd grade level. Just think about that. That's 5 whole years of potential, of learning, just gone. And this right here, this is the core injustice. So many of the behaviors that get a child placed in these restrictive classrooms aren't disorders at all. They are just fundamentally autistic ways of communicating, of processing the world, of self-regulating. The system, without meaning to, ends up punishing children for the way their brain is wired.
All right, so we've laid out the problem, and it's a big one. But it's just as important to talk about what we should be aiming for. What does a successful, truly inclusive classroom actually look like?
Well, these are the key ingredients. It's not about just putting a kid in a room. It's about building a whole support system. You need teachers who have specialized training. You need the right support staff. You need a curriculum that can actually adapt to different learning styles, and a place where students are truly part of the community, not just sitting in the back. And here's the amazing part. When schools get this right, the research is totally clear. Literally everyone wins. Autistic students build better social skills, they gain so much confidence, and at the exact same time, their neurotypical classmates develop more empathy and a much richer understanding that, hey, we're all different and that's a good thing. So, knowing all this, if you're a parent who's right in the middle of this fight, what can you actually do? Let's break down a simple, practical playbook for how to advocate for your child. Okay, here are 4 steps that are just critical. Number 1, document everything. Every email, every phone call, every concern. 2, know your rights. Read up on the law. 3, build your network. Connect with other parents. Find advocates. And 4, do not be afraid to challenge the status quo. You have to remember, an informed, organized parent is the most powerful force for change there is. Now, I know the challenges we've talked about are huge, but I want to be clear. This is not a hopeless situation. Let's wrap up by looking at the real signs of change and the path we can forge ahead. And this is what really gives me hope. You're starting to see these trends pop up. You've got communities organizing and demanding better schools. Parents are becoming more and more empowered advocates. A lot of educators themselves are fighting for better training.
And just as a society, we are slowly but surely starting to get it, to recognize and actually value neurodiversity. And this is the thought I really want to leave you with. Every email a parent sends, every meeting an advocate attends, every single time we speak up for what's right, it's bigger than just one child. You become part of this larger movement that's pushing us toward an education system that finally, truly serves every single student.
So the final question is really for all of us to think about. What does a school that truly serves all students actually look like? And what part can each of us play in making that a reality? Because that is a future worth fighting for.